Are we live? Okay, let's get IG on. Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing out there? Hey, Inez, good afternoon. How are you doing today? Thanks for jumping on here. I just love it. I know Lerner can't say that you're missing class today. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Are you doing fine? Yes, yes, yes. Hi, Sharon Ellis. Thanks for jumping in. Hello, hello. How you guys doing over here? Hi, G. How are you doing, Sharon? Thanks for jumping in here, you guys. Elaine PROBY here, CEO PROBY'S Tax and Accounting on this lovely Thursday afternoon. Hope all of you guys are doing well. Today we want to talk about some basic financial stuff that we have learned during COVID, right? So a lot of us going through COVID now. Hopefully this thing is getting behind us. And there's a lot of lessons that we have learned from it, a lot of financial lessons we have learned from the disaster that took place. And some of us were definitely not prepared. So I want to have this conversation today, guys, so we can find out what we have learned during the last 12, let's see, maybe now, 15, 17 months. It's over a year and a half. And so that we can use these lessons going forward and make sure that we are better prepared, right, in the future when something like this does happen. So we want to talk about some things that's going to help us prepare ourselves financially for that. Hey, Andy, thanks for jumping on. Hello, my very beautiful auntie. Hi, Cherie. Thank you for jumping in here. Looking forward to learning from this one today. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So you guys will. This is very exciting. You know, all these topics are very exciting to me because once again, it's helping folks. It's helping myself just being able to deliver this message. So let's talk about the 6 financial lessons that we have learned through COVID, and we want to be better prepared going forward. So, of course, then something happens next time, or even just any other type of emergency in our everyday life, we're able to cope with, right? So my first point today, guys, is knowing your personal cash flow. This first point today is knowing your personal cash flow so you can be better prepared for emergency. And by knowing your personal cash flow, what you got to do, guys, we all kind of know what money comes in, what money goes to our bank account. And for the most part, you know, that's something that we pretty much stay on top of. We know what that is. But what I want you guys to pay attention to is what exactly goes out. Do we know what goes out and what it's for? Do we pay attention to our spending habits? Right? So this is important because what you get in and what you spend out is going to determine your cash flow, whether it's a positive cash flow or whether it's a negative cash flow. So it's very seriously important to know what goes out. And I think on the last conversation we had when we talked about spending money using credit cards, and a lot of times when we do this, we don't always pay attention to the money coming out of the bank because we don't see it. It's in the form of a card. And we talked about this whole cash outlay. So the idea here is, what monies goes in, and we want to make sure we stay on top of the monies that goes out so we can maintain a positive cash flow, right? The reason for you to be able to have a positive cash flow is because you want to be able to set aside some monies for emergency. This is what, from COVID, we all learned. If we didn't have an emergency fund, we all learned that we should have had an emergency fund. We need to pay careful attention to making sure there's an emergency fund set aside for, for any type of disaster or emergency. Things, unforeseen circumstances happen. A lot of times things pop up and you have to take care of it. And if there's not an emergency fund, what happens? It interferes with your monthly cash flow. It interferes with all the monies that you got in that is already assigned for other expenditures. And then, of course, you have a problem. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to what you spend your money on so you can save for an emergency. Now, it is said that you should have at least up to 6 to maybe 8 months worth of money for emergency. Just look at last year during COVID-19, of course, a lot of folks lost their jobs, right? A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of places was closed down. And of course, if you didn't have any emergency fund, your finance just came to an abrupt ending, right? It just stopped. And a lot of us couldn't survive past a few months because there was not enough money saved up. All right. So this is the reason for always being able to create an emergency fund for any unforeseen circumstance that we cannot control. Right. And then, of course, a lot of people lost their jobs. Then you have to wait for other assistance. That takes months. So there was nothing to really take its place. All right. So the first lesson that we learned from COVID, guys, if we haven't already done it, to make sure that we pay attention to our cash flow so we can save for an emergency, have an emergency fund for any type of disaster, any emergency that popped up in our daily lives, just period. It doesn't have to be COVID or any other disaster, just other emergencies step in as usual. We all know about that, right? So second point today, guys, what you want to be able to align yourself with. Point number 2, we all know because of COVID that we need to also have different income streams. And the reason for that, of course, is the only income stream that you had, which is maybe just a job, if the only income stream shuts down, and we all witnessed that during COVID, when that shuts down, that means that's it. There is no other form of monies coming in, right? So we want to be able to have different income stream. So right now, so we could be prepared for next time, anything that happens next time. What we would like to suggest to you guys is to, some of us can get either maybe a side gig. Some people have side jobs, and, and sometimes people get side jobs, and the money that they derive from that side job is the money they set aside for savings or for emergency. You may just want to take something that you do several hours or a day a week. That money that you are going to earn from that side job is the money that you will set aside in your emergency fund. So it all ties in. So figure out a way to make sure that you can acquire some additional funds and set that aside for the emergency. Okay, so you might want to consider a side job. And the next thing you might want to consider is our biggest factor here is starting a small business, right? And I always say this. Whatever skills that you have, knowledge that you have, guys, you can turn it into cash. You can start a small business with all the knowledge that you know, or any type of skills, whether you're a carpenter, whether you know what I mean, you can always find something that you already know. You don't have to do a whole lot for, and you can earn extra money by setting up a small business. Don't have to do a lot of paperwork. Don't have to cost you anything, because we had that conversation before where it doesn't have to cost you anything. You can set up a small business and have that on the side so that you have different income stream. Okay, that's what we want to have, different income stream. When one shut down, something else is still working, money is still coming. And if you ever have to leave a job or something happens, there is still a few dollars coming in from different income stream, right? Okay, so I want to welcome these folks over here on IG. Hey, Ken, thanks for jumping in here. Sharice, you're over here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's Marjorie. Thank you for jumping in over here on IG, guys. Hey, Laverne, thanks for jumping on here. Margie, thank you. Good afternoon. Definitely good afternoon. Okay. All right, Andy. Okay, so we guys, let's move on to the third point today. Because of COVID, we all learned that a lot of stuff we have to do differently to be better prepared for any other disaster or economic downturn, any drastic stuff to take place. Guys, you want to diversify in your investments, right? Some of you have a job where you utilizes the profit sharing plan or whatever they have at that job. And a lot of times this is all we do is just set some money aside in the 401k or whatever plan is at the job. And a lot of times we just sit there and we're comfortable with that. But you also want to diversify your investments. You might want to think about investing in something like real estate. You might want to invest in real estate, guys. There's several ways you can get money out of real estate by getting a positive cash flow that, which happens mostly when you know when to buy and, when you can rent and how you can have a positive cash flow coming in. So there's some money coming in on a monthly basis that you can set aside. Again, it's all about trying to set money aside, right? And investing in real estate is one way to get some extra money by having a positive cash flow there. And then another way that a lot of people was investing last year when you want to diversify is into stocks. A lot of people were investing into stocks. And the most thing about that, guys, than during COVID, we learned this. You have to always know when to buy and when to sell. And sometimes a lot of people sold too soon. There's a lot of people who made a lot of money in the stock market during COVID because, that fluctuates. And a lot of people made a lot of money because they were able to leave their investment in there for a longer term and not pulling it out too soon. So these are some of the things that you need to learn about, guys, and diversify your investment. It does not have to just be in your retirement fund, 401k, whatever the job offers, but you want to diversify so you can invest in something like real estate. Again, like I said, positive cash flow, or in the stock market where you can make money when the stock goes up. So those are ways that you could diversify your investments, right? So that it's always safe. There's something working everywhere. I have to make sure that there's always that outlet. Okay, so that's the third point today, guys. Hey, Learner, thanks for jumping on here. Yes. Thank you. All right, so you wanted to, Sharice has something over here, diversify my investments by purchasing. What are you purchasing? Real estate. Yes, that's right. Purchasing real estate. You guys, we're going to have a whole other session in the purchasing real estate. And I will, I'll teach you guys and show you guys how I'll get some experts to tell you how you can purchase real estate. So it's not as difficult as you might think. There's plenty of ways to get this done. So we'll talk about that. So we'll have another whole session on investments. Okay. So let's see. We are on my point number 4. Point number 4, what you want to do here. We talk about this enough. Minimize your debt, guys. Minimize your debt. We have to pay attention to what we owe, especially high service charge, credit cards and things like that, because we want to be able to have this extra cash, right, for us to be able to save money. So you want to minimize your debt. Sometimes we just impulsively spend money on things that we don't need. And we may use a credit card again just because it's not cash out of pocket. We don't see it immediately. It is cash out of pocket. You just don't see it at that moment. So we want to minimize our debt. You want to try to pay down your debt. You want to stay on top of it. You want to also make sure that you stay on top of your credit score. When you minimize your debt, it improves your credit score, right? The more debt you owe, the lower your credit score is. It has an impact on it because if your income is not able to sustain your debt, it's going to impact your credit score. And so one of the key things here, guys, is to be able to maintain a great credit score, minimize your debt, increase your credit score. And guess what happens? If in case of a disaster, in case you need an emergency fund and you don't have it saved yourself, and you may need to go out and get a loan. If you have great credit, you can get a loan. People will lend you money if your credit is great, okay? One example, during COVID, guys, you guys realizes that there were a lot of money from the government that came forward for personal and businesses. Some people were denied those loans because of their credit. Seemed like it wasn't supposed to have anything to do with credit because it is a disaster, some government money. We're all in dire need for this stuff. But I know you guys, some of you guys experienced it. Some of those SBA loans were denied to some folks because their credit score was too low. And everybody saw that credit being hit by the SBA inquiring. So it's very important to maintain your credit score. And by doing so, if you minimize your debt, it will increase your credit score in times of a disaster. You'll be able, if you don't have your own funds to fall back on, you'll be able to borrow some money to get you over the hump. Okay, so that's my fourth point today, guys. Margie, I agree. Credit score is very important. It is very important, guys. And there's so many. We had a conversation too on improving your credit score, and you guys can go back over some of these videos and get some of these major points that's there, and how you can increase your credit score, because it does a whole lot, especially in terms of emergency, and you want to go get some cash if you were not able to, pull it out of your own savings. Okay, so that's the number 4 point today, guys. Number 5, this one here, like they said, is easier said than done. You need to learn how to manage your emotions. Due to COVID last year, guys, we all went through this whole thing about, everything was shut down. People had to stay home, people losing their jobs, all the things that took place during the disaster. And like I said, these are lessons that we've learned from just COVID here. A lot of things happen that really interfere with our emotions. And so people were extremely stressed because of so many things happening. And a lot of reasons for that too. Financially, of course, that came to an abrupt ending. And then we, like I said, learn to manage our emotions, because we don't want to make decisions on impulse. Now that we're stressed, our emotions is high, and we start making decisions based on our emotions. And sometimes it becomes disastrous because it's the wrong thing to do. We'll go ahead and maybe pull all the money out of our savings. We'll go ahead and sell off stocks when we're not supposed to. You make some irrational decisions because you are under stress and you're not able to manage your emotions. So we've got to, this is a lesson that we all had to pay attention to during COVID, and then we have to find ways. There are so many different therapeutic ways. I'm not an expert at that, but there's so many ways that we have to learn how to manage our emotions so we don't act in impulse and make decisions that could be devastating in the end, right? So that's my number 5 point today, guys. And think about it is, if you act impulsively, it can take monies out of places that you don't need to, if you know where to pull the money from. In other words, you want to pull some money out of a place that's going to be the least affected by what's going on. So these are decisions that you're not able to move if you are under stress and you're not able to manage your emotions. Okay, so you don't always make the best decisions. Just granted, that happens for everybody. So that's number 5, guys. Number 6. And this one here, we hear it all the time. We hear it. It sounds like a song to some of us, but how many of us listen? It says health is wealth, right? Health is wealth, right? So many of us hear this, health is wealth, guys. Health is wealth. The health is wealth. We hear it all the time, but how many of you guys follow this rule? How many of us follow this rule? So during COVID, of course, again, we were all indoors for the most part. All been going through a whole lot of very stressful situation. But again, guys, granted, you have to admit there were times when we could have maybe definitely focused on our health, focus on things that we could be doing to improve on our health, because by us improving on our health physically and mentally, right, put us in a better place to be able to deal with what's going on, and build our immune system, right nutrition. We had time to focus on all this stuff, right? I mean, I know a lot of you guys out there did it. I know a lot of folks that was encouraging each other to do it as groups. And, it's not something that we just need to do during a recession and a disaster like we had last year, but this is something that we want to maintain and continue, because this way it gives us a clear path mentally so that we can think straight and do the right thing financially, so that we can obtain more cash, have a better cash flow, and put more money in our pocket. Very important, guys. We got to focus on that. We can't be too busy to focus on that. Okay. So again, that's my 6 points today. We're talking about making sure that these are 6 points that we learned, things, personal lessons that we learned from COVID-19. We want to be better prepared for any unforeseen circumstances, any disaster, any other type of emergency, personal or even globally or economically. So we want to be better prepared. Okay, so this is this is it today, guys. I want you guys to make note of this. Hit like and share on this video. Like I said, hit like and share on this video. Very important information, things that we don't pay attention to unless someone bring it to our attention. And we want to make sure that, again, the whole idea is to be able to have monies. We're talking about finance. We're talking about money setting aside, monies for emergency, and monies that you can continue to build from. And because if that doesn't happen, guys, everything becomes very disastrous. So let me recap these 6 points today. Again, just make a note of this, you guys. 6 points today in order for us to be better prepared for, based on lessons that we've learned from COVID. The 6th point is know your personal cash flow so you can plan for an emergency fund. Make sure you know what goes in, what comes out. If you're in a positive or negative cash flow, you have to take care of that. Find ways to do that. Have a side job or start a small business. 2nd point today, different income stream. You want to be able to not just have one income stream. Some people like this term, don't spread yourself too thin. But then again, you need to also make sure that you are focusing on having different streams of income in case one fall down, everything doesn't really crashes. And so you're not as affected. Okay. So that's number 2. 3, diversify your investment. You don't want your investment to just necessarily be just in your pension fund at work. Of course, you guys can invest in real estate and, stock market and other ways that you can invest money. So you want to diversify that so that, there's always something flowing. Okay, so that's number 3. 4th point today, guys, minimize your debt. Minimizing your debt, increase your credit score. By increasing your credit score, it gives you the ability to be able to access cash from other people by getting loans, even if you are not able to pull cash from your own savings and emergency fund and other things that you have set aside, right? So number 5, manage your emotion. Easier said than done. When we are stressed, we all act impulsively. We make decisions that we don't need to make. So we want to be able to learn how to manage our emotions, do whatever it takes, whether therapeutically, whether that's music, dancing, speaking to other people, whatever it takes for you to be able to manage your emotions, guys. We need to find the way to make that happen so that we can think clearly. And by us being able to be physical and more mentally prepared, we can handle anything that comes your way, right? Specifically something like COVID-19 that nobody could have planned for. All right. So, and then the 6th point today, guys, is the health as well. We want to make sure that we pay attention to our health, try to build our immune system, do things that will help us physically and mentally. And by us being able to do this, we can think clearly, allows us to be able to do the things that's necessary for us to obtain cash. And by you having a healthy cash flow, it also helped with the mental stress that everyone goes through without cash, right? So we don't want to have that happen to us. We want to be better prepared, right? This is what these conversations are all about. Be better prepared financially. And these are some of the steps that we learned during COVID that no one could have planned for. That's something that lasted that long and that none of us was prepared for. Okay, so that's my 6th point today, guys. I want to thank you all for jumping in. And it says, let's see. Staying on point. That's right. Staying on point. That's right. That's what you want to do. Be able to do that because, again, like I said, it's all this stuff here is to keep us positive and to keep us encouraged and to advise us to be able to have continued wealth. The way to do this is to make sure we stay on top of finances. Again, it doesn't matter how much money you're making. It all helps. One step at a time, $1 at a time, it will help and it will grow and will make you a better person in the end. All right, so that's it for me today. Let's see any other comments. You guys put your comments below. I'll come back through you and respond to those. Hit like and share on this video. Make sure all your friends get this information. So hit like and share it to everybody. And we'll be back here next week with some more information because I just love these topics. If you guys have anything particular that you want to know, let us know, and we will be able to address that as well. Or you can give us a call here at PROBY'S Tax and Accounting at 323-290-9034. And visit us at our website at probyststax.com. We can have some more financial information for you guys. And again, some of our more expertise in terms of having you guys save on your taxes so you can have extra money to set aside. All right. So Lerner says, thank you, thank you, thank you. Anna said, thank you. All right. Thank you guys for joining in here today. Again, I want you guys to have a wonderful Thursday afternoon and the rest of the weekend. So with that said, I will see you guys next week. You guys take care of each other and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.